I was at the wrong airport, about to catch the wrong plane, and he had made an equal mistake. So we ended up chatting in the departure lounge, and as they say, the rest of it is history. We were married for 33 years. I think it was about shortly after our son's birth in 2000 that I realised that he wasn't well, because he hadn't been able to hold down many jobs. But it wasn't until 2006 that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. It's a progressive neurological disease which has neither treatment nor cure. When you get further down the line, the fact that it isn't terminal means that you don't necessarily get access to Macmillan nursing or hospice care. So you are very much sort of left on your own, because no one knows how long it will take you to die from Parkinson's. I was Mark's carer for 12 years. Anything that you kind of take for granted, you can't do, because Parkinson's affects you in so many ways, so many symptoms. And that impacts on the carer, because I would love to go out and have a cup of coffee with friends or have people back, but it wasn't fair on Mark. And your friends, they understand, but they drop away. And if you're not careful, you can become very affected by this. So slowly, we were getting a quieter, more removed life from normality as other people see it. So normal becomes abnormal, but it's normal to us because that's the circumstances that we're in. Instead of being a wife, I was a carer. After that, I became a nurse. And the joke is that he was 4 years younger than me, and he was my toy boy. He was supposed to be looking after me. Mental health is something that carers have to be very aware of. They're giving of their best to their loved one, whom they're caring for, but who cares for the carer? And do they realise how bad a state they're getting into, because they don't really have time to do anything about it? You need the support of other people, but you don't realise that. You just keep thinking, oh, I'll give it another week, I'll try maybe another month, let's see what it's like in the autumn, or maybe I'll carry on until after Christmas. And slowly the time goes by, and you realise then in the end that you can't carry on. You've reached the end of your rope. And when you're on duty 24/7 without a break, then you realise you are getting close to your health being so badly affected that you, the carer, is a danger to the patient. When you realise you cannot manage on your own, you have no choice but to get in touch with the doctor or social services and say, I need support because I can no longer look after my husband on my own. You have absolutely no idea what's going to change, except you can be sure that pretty much everything is. The social worker, I believe, is in charge of the case, decides on what help is needed. You don't say what help you want, they tell you what they can arrange. Your home life, such as it is, the way you built it up to get through the day on your own, without support, suddenly changes. He was absolutely terrified. He didn't know who they were, what they were doing. He was easily confused, and he was frightened. And with a number of comings and goings, I got very protective of him. And I think it would be fair to say that perhaps I didn't come across as a very sunny person, because I was frightened of the power that all these people had. It's the lack of clarity of communication between healthcare professionals and carers. Carers think they know what the patient means or wants. The healthcare professionals say, we know because we're trained. If you don't understand some of their terminology, their acronyms, whatever it is that they're telling you, you say, I don't understand that. Do you mean X? or do you mean why? Please tell me what this process entails. And keep asking, because in fact, if you don't know or you misunderstand, you end up in a much worse confused state. I wrote a little piece of paper that is a timeline from July until September, which was that process of gradually realizing that my husband was getting close to the end of his life, and therefore would need professional full-time care, which could not be accommodated in the home. Once he understood that, he didn't want to know. He was looking towards release as healing, if you like. When I saw the state that my husband was in, I suppose I thought, well, this is where I need to give him permission to let go and to die and to be at peace. There's a lot of resource and support out there, but each individual will react differently. Some people will be slow to grieve. In my view, I had 12 years to come to terms with the fact that Mark was not going to be cured and would eventually die. So a lot of my grieving process was taken during the course of the illness. So when he finally died, it was relief and release rather than deep grief, because I'd already come through that process. Now, everybody else will have a different way of describing it, but life is now very pleasant. 5 amazing grandchildren and 4 wonderful children. A host of friends who are wonderful and actually seem to quite like me, even though I'd had 12 years of being, rather removed from them. And yes, I'm very fortunate, and I think that the people who helped me along the way, even though I didn't appreciate the healthcare professionals and the social workers and the doctors, they all did a most amazing job. And if it weren't for them, who knows what would have happened. But thank you, all of them.